These are the 3 most common reasons why avoidantly attached partners will leave relationships. This is based on patterns I've seen across 2,000 people, so hopefully it helps you clarify what happened. Again, we're gonna go no script, I'm just gonna talk, so I might stutter or mess up, but that's just how it's gonna go. And before we get started, I'm gonna tell about how avoidant attachment style shows up so you can make sure this is actually applicable to you and that's actually what was happening in your relationship. So we'll start there, then we'll get to the 3 reasons. So first, avoidant attachment style is one of 4 common attachment styles. We've got secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. With avoidant, usually they were hurt in the past and learned to believe that love is something that's dangerous. So they still believe that they need it because they're people, they're humans, they want human connection, but they keep it at an arm's length. And they get stressed, they start having this just feeling of unease when they get too close to someone emotionally. They have a hard time being vulnerable, they have a hard time upgrading relationships, becoming official, and when a lot of that happens, they can feel stressed, look for reasons to leave, find flaws, and leave. So let's dive in now to the 3 reasons that most do. The first is kind of interesting. I noticed this not really in any books or anything, but I just kind of noticed it through coaching, and I believe it's a pattern now, but it's after going on a trip. So often a solo trip or a trip with their friends. What usually happens is when they're in the relationship, they have that feeling of stress that I talked about. And then they go on a trip and they notice that the stress isn't there anymore. They think, oh my gosh, like I don't feel this pressure to open up, this pressure to make this person feel comfortable. Maybe there's something wrong with the relationship. The problem is this is often a misconception. There's often just great things happening in the relationship, but because of that stress of being avoidant, they'll misinterpret it. They'll think, my life is better when I'm not with them, and then they'll come back, they'll feel the stress again because now they have to be emotionally close again, and then they'll leave. They'll find lots of reasons why you don't like the same things, why it's not compatible anymore, and once they have something that sounds like a reasonable enough justification, then they'll leave the relationship. So that's the first one, after a trip. The second one is after the relationship upgrades in some way. So you might have noticed that when you were dating, everything seemed completely fine. But then you all of a sudden become engaged or you move in together and then they close off, they have a hard time sharing their feelings, and it seems like almost a different person. So with this one, the analogy that I like to use is a circle of comfort. Everybody has a threshold that when they're inside this circle, they're gonna act like they're secure, they're gonna feel totally safe, they're not going to show any of these tendencies. But then when you get outside of their circle of comfort, then they're gonna start showing these avoidant tendencies. They're gonna pull away, they're not gonna be able to share their feelings, all that stuff we mentioned before. So often it's moving in, it's meeting parents, it's becoming official, sometimes it's even getting married, but it shows that it's outside of that circle of comfort. Now, if they're pulling away there, they need space, but also it's worth thinking, if this person can't handle this level, like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that I can spend my life with. And if they can't handle it, then that needs to be something that changes on their end if you're gonna want this relationship to work. Otherwise, it doesn't work. There's an analogy I like for this one. If you've ever heard of Tim Tebow, he's a football player. He was amazing in college football. He was like one of the best. He was actually ranked the best. He won the Heisman Trophy, which they give to the best player that year. And everybody thought that when he went to the NFL, then he would also take over the NFL, be incredible, all that kind of stuff. But when he joined the NFL, he played for a couple years and was just kind of mediocre and then retired. And people were disappointed. They thought, why was he so good in college and then it didn't translate to the NFL? When that happens in sports, we're okay with it. It might bug us, but we don't sit and become delusional and think, he would have, they just need to give him another chance. They need to do this. But with relationships, we do that. So we might be dating someone who's an incredible boyfriend. And at the boyfriend level, he can do everything you need him to do. But then at the fiance level, he suddenly can't. And sometimes that's just where they are in emotional development. That's just how people are. You don't need to make excuses. Sometimes the answer really is opening your eyes and accepting that is where the person is in that development level, okay? The third reason why avoidance will leave suddenly is when external stresses become too much. So you can think about it like family drama or problems at work, or maybe they're turning 30 or 45 and they realize that they've lived their lives for someone else. They don't know who they are anymore. They might take that and think, I need to dump the relationship to figure all this other stuff out. You can imagine this as kind of like a backpack full of rocks. that there's a certain amount of weight and rocks that can fit in the backpack and that they can carry. But once you add enough rocks, it becomes too much, and then they have to take out what they can control. So, like we said before, the relationship is going to be one of those rocks. It's just because they've identified that love is dangerous for them, it's going to be stressful. So if they don't have all these other stresses, they can handle it. But once you start pouring in the rocks of work, family drama, friend drama, all this kind of stuff that tends to pile up with life, they might reach in and throw away the relationship to ease their overall burden. Again, with all of these areas, the answer is no contact. It's not chasing them. It's not proving that you're worth it, because it's not really about you being worth it. It's about them not being able to deal with the stress that comes with being emotionally deep with someone. Now, once you remove that stress, then they're not going to have the need to defend against it anymore. And usually things balance out and they're able to think, did I actually want to be in that relationship? Am I throwing away something amazing? And a lot do come back. A lot of times it might take a little bit, because avoidants after a breakup tend to distract themselves. They might get really, really into the gym, or really into a hobby, or really into work, but they do grieve. They're still humans. A lot of people on the internet will demonize avoidant people, and it almost sounds like they're robots that don't have any feelings, and that's just not true. They're a type of human. So they're going to grieve it, they're going to miss you, all that same stuff as every other type of attachment style, okay? But the thing that's important for you is, as you're in no contact and as you're learning all this, the question for you is, do I want to be with someone who couldn't handle that level of love? Because it's not going to go backwards. You're not going to be content to stay in the shallows. It's going to get deeper and deeper. That's the natural progression of relationships. You need to ask yourself, can this person actually be what I need? All right? Let me know if you have any other questions. I hope that video helped clear some stuff up. If you need coaching to get back together or to move on successfully, the link is in the description. And subscribe if you like to see videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.